on our stage. All of our guests are here today. Can everyone hear me all right? Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you, Larry.
Perfect. Well, welcome. And this is our very first Twitter space hosted on the Hello Hashkey community, or I should call it the X space now to be more accurate. My name is Larry, and I am the community manager here at Hashkey Exchange and your host for today's Twitter space. Now, before we get started, I'd like to just mention a big news that's been circulating within the industry recently, which is that Hashkey Exchange has officially become a licensed virtual asset exchange in Hong Kong, and soon we'll be able to offer retail services to users. And once we Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, we are really excited. The team here has been really building towards this, and I think within weeks we are going to be open for business and to provide a safe and simple trading experiences to retail users everywhere. All right. Today we have really an amazing panel. And we are going to dive into some really interesting topics around the ICP ecosystem. This is a topic that really fascinates me personally, and I'm really excited to use this as an opportunity to learn more about it from the people who are really deep into building this very ecosystem. Of course, just like to mention, nothing discussed here today should be considered investment advice, and you should always be doing your own research before making an investment. Just some housekeeping rules. If you do have questions, we do have a big panel today, so I'm not sure if we can end on time. So if we do have some time at the end of the Twitter space, we can have some guests up for questions. But if we don't, then I'm sure you still be able to learn a lot from the session today. And I will first ask each one of our guests to quickly introduce yourselves and about the projects you are representing here with us today before we dive into some deeper topics. So without further ado, let's get on with today's AMA. So I'm going to introduce each guest to come on stage, and just to use 2 or 3 sentences really quickly introduce yourself and about your project. So first, let's have Herbert, if you the GM of Asia for Dfinity. If you would come up and introduce yourself and about, Dfinity.
Thank you, Larry. Congratulations to Larry and Ben, all our friends from Hashkey Group. This is a great news for Hong Kong, I think for Asia, for all of us. Hello, everyone. My name is Herbert. I'm the General Manager for Asia from Dfinity Foundation. Very quickly, let me try to do this in 2, 3 sentences, which is a tall order from Larry. Internet Computer Protocol, or as we fondly call it, ICP, is a supercomputer that connects a lot of independent data centers around the world that forms an internet computer using what we call the chain key technology. So for those of you out there who have yet to understand what we're trying to do here, one of the largest layer 1 blockchains in the world with a few thousand of developers around the world. It was created by the Dfinity Foundation, which is a non-profit foundation headquartered in Zurich, Switzerland. And the Dfinity team, we launched ICP's mainnet 2 years ago in May 2021, almost at the tail of the bull market. So since then, the focus of the Dfinity team has been continuously developing features on the ICP roadmap and grow the developer ecosystem for ICP. So the most unique thing about ICP is it's the only full stack infrastructure platform that can do distributed ledger, computing, and also data storage all in one. So it's more like a decentralized version of Amazon Web Services, where it came from, more than the typical layer 1 blockchain. So if you're a web developer, you can build many web applications completely on-chain on ICP, from hosting the front end, writing smart contracts to handle backend APIs, to storing data in the ICP's canisters. So that includes not only just financial applications, like many in the DeFi scenarios, but also social media, productivity tools, games, metaverses, and also SaaS solutions, and also AI, I should add. So this really allows ICP to become a very viable alternative to the traditional infrastructure platforms such as AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure, which are very centralized and present a lot of significant platform risks to a lot of the projects in the world. So I'll pause there for now. Really great to be here and speak to all of you tonight. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Herbert. It's a pleasure to have you here. Again, I mentioned earlier, it's really exciting to have you here and to discuss Dfinity and of ICP. As you mentioned, it is one of the largest layer one blockchain out there. So really excited to learn more about the blockchain as we dive into the questions for later today. And of course, really excited to be hearing about the projects that are being built on the ICP and how they are utilizing the service and how the ecosystem is really supporting this development. Before we get into it, let's have Ben, the head of ecosystem from Hashkey Group. Tell us more about yourself and well, I guess more about Hashkey, not to me, but for everyone else who's here today.
Hey, awesome. Well, first off, thanks Herbert for for the session. It's pretty exciting. I mean, yeah, I've been back in 2018. I'm still working. Still got some bugs in the office that are nearby. Hard at work here. Yeah, but just a quick note, right? Head of ecosystems for Hashkey. I've basically touched on everything that the company works on across the exchange strategy, across all of our business partnerships, across listing of assets, and there's a lot of strategic projects that I'm working on currently. Previously, had focused on a number of different applications on public blockchains. Working with a number of different governments here in Asia, both Hong Kong and Singapore. Prior to joining Hashkey back in 2018, so I think I was maybe the first or third employee at Hashkey back in 2018. I actually co-founded Stanford University's largest blockchain community. This was back in 2017. Grew it from about zero to 16. So it was pretty interesting to kind of see how blockchain developed at that point in time. But what's fun about this whole space, right? I think for all the people that are online here, right? I think there's about 2,000 people, right? I mean, blockchain is completely global, so it doesn't really matter whether or not you're working on a community locally, or you build a community in Europe or in Asia or in Korea or Japan or Hong Kong or Singapore. It doesn't matter, right? Or Silicon Valley or whatever. I think what's really interesting about this space is like the enthusiasm, and as long as you kind of work hard and develop things, the results speak for themselves. So yeah, pretty interesting to be on the session, and yeah, maybe I'll just let the next speaker go. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you. And, really excited to be hearing your take on the ICP ecosystem, not only as the head of ecosystem at Hashkey, but really also as a long-term builder in the crypto Web3 space. Next, we will have Daniel, the COO and co-founder of Daimyo Network. Daniel, you here with us?
Yeah. Hi, Larry. Thanks for having me on today. So, yeah, I'm Daniel.
Hi, Daniel. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Larry? Hello? Can you hear me?
Seems to not be able to hear you on my end.
Okay. Hello? Can you hear me?
Sorry, I can hear.
I can hear.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Oh, okay. I think it's just my problem. In that case, Daniel, if you just go ahead, I'll fix the issue on my side, please.
I'll make a start then. Thanks, Larry. So, yeah, hi everyone. I'm Daniel. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Daimyo. Really a pleasure to be with you all today. Today's guests are friends of Daimyo. Example have been supporting since the early days, so we have a great affinity with D. And also, he is the investors in us, Dumi and AstroX as well. We have a very close relationship with. So, and very happy to be here. So, you may already be familiar with what Daimyo does, but I think that there's a misunderstanding that Daimyo is really decentralized email. We're actually a lot more than that. Product has undergone 2 years of deep cultivation and optimization. So for those who are new to Dmail, allow me to introduce what Dmail is essentially. So I think our tagline is a pretty good way to convey the concept of build-in. And our tagline is, your inbox, your data, your AI assistant, stay informed and connected with intelligent and secure messaging. What that essentially means is that work is building an AI-powered decentralized structure that provides unified, anonymous messaging and notification services across multiple chains and applications. Our mission is to keep users informed and connected in the digital landscape, enabling effortless, seamless access to data and messages. So wherever we've found from Hashkey, as well as Draper Dragon, KuCoin Labs, Amino Capital, HG Ventures, and more than 20 other top global VCs. We just completed our pre-A round, and we did very well there. So we were also delighted to win the first prize in 2021 Wanjiang Hackathon, and we were also received first BNB chain grant. Pride in having integrated and provided work on Lens, Say Network, BNB, and more than 100 other projects. And we've recently experienced exponential traction with over 1 million users having already sent a combined total of 10 messages. If you've been following Dmail, you've probably noticed we've made remarkable progress in markets. And as I said, we've recently announced that our user base has surpassed 1 million on-chain addresses. So as a centralized cross-chain infrastructure, Dmail now supports information exchange across 11 different public chains. So I personally think this achievement is remarkable for a blockchain product. We're also planning significant iterations for our product, but I won't go into detail right now. But please do stay tuned for further updates. While Dmail is focused more on serving users up to this point, we plan to introduce commercial products in the near future. And that's a hint for you in terms of what we're going to be doing. And we will be expanding our services to more projects and strengthening communication between users and projects. Speaking of the story between Dmail and ICP, it goes back several years when I had full recognition of the concepts and technical implementation presented by ICP when it first launched on testnet. And our vision at the time was to create a killer app, or DApp, I should say, for the Web3 world, as such a project didn't exist back then. And just as the traditional internet's origin lies in email services, we think the same will be true for the Web3 world. And that's how the prototype of the product came into existence. But of course, we've iterated a lot since then, and we've really built out our products, which expand a lot in the near future. So the challenges face that is impractical. You pay for every email. Of course, ICP utilizes a reverse scan model, and we found that this was exceptionally helpful for what we were doing and perfectly solved our problems. So that's why we initially chose to deploy email, and it's the most obvious reason for our continued presence on ICP today. So we're very thankful to the team for essentially being our starting point, even though we're now for ICP. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for that comprehensive intro about Dmail. And of course, first of all, congrats on the amazing achievement that the project has done. But also, really excited to hear about how why an ICP is the chosen ecosystem for Dmail to build.
Hi, Laurie. I think you muted. I don't hear anything.
Oh, sorry. I just spoke to myself for that short 45 seconds. I'll repeat. Thank you, Daniel, for that comprehensive introduction of Dmail. First of all, congrats on the amazing achievement that Dmail has done, and really excited to hear how and why that. Oh, my apologies. My Twitter seems to be muting itself. Can you hear me, Yumi?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anyways, really excited to be hearing more about it later from Daniel from Dmail. Let's go to Anna, head of BD from the Yumi NFT Marketplace. Anna, can you tell us more about yourself and about your project?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks, Hashkey, have Yumi here tonight. I'm Anna, and I work with Yumi NFT Marketplace. Yumi NFT Marketplace is a decentralized, fully on-chain marketplace for digital asset, and it's built on ICP. And our vision is to revolutionize the digital asset market by providing true ownership of digital asset free from the centralized hosting service. That's why we deploy on ICP. ICP built an anonymous cloud from the public network. So right now, Yumi satisfies fundamental NFT trading, launchpad, new NFT sale, airdrop, any other features like the common NFT trading marketplace. But what's more, we have pioneered several groundbreaking use for NFTs, including fractionalized of physical art ownership, which is securely stored in a vault in Switzerland. Additionally, we have tokenized the gold bars and to realizing the buying, the selling, and the trade of gold bullions. And for the recently, we have reached some deployment we want to share with the ICP ecosystem. And first, we rebrand. We upgrade ourselves from a marketplace to one-stop NFT service platform. Yumi provides the customized minting, creating NFT, launching, trading, storage, and branding NFT solutions. Empower your projects. So, for example, this year on June 15th, Yumi worked with ICP, provide NFT service to a French multinational Sodex PRS to brand them as a Plutixi and launch an exclusive employee engagement NFT collection on ICP. And actually, I would like to pin this. I will pin this announcement later in the space. And the second, we launched two new types of NFT case. Both would inspire the community engagement with the NFT. They are ticketing NFT and raffle NFT. So ticketing NFT will inspire who attending offline events by NFT. Those NFTs will attach the QR code of event and entitle the buyers to the access to the event. So and another kind of NFT is raffle NFT that contributes more offline events. So it's more like lottery on the site. User can buy NFT, then join the campaign to win the prize. So both is for the community management. In the near future, we will promotion to the a lot offline event and to encourage crypto users to experience the NFT lottery and ticketing. And this is a new milestone for Yumi recently, and I'm lovely to be here. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you, and also congrats to Yumi NFT Marketplace for the incredible achievement that you've just mentioned. And again, really interesting to hear why Yumi NFT have decided to choose ICP as its ecosystem to build on. Sean from the head of growth from AstroX. If you don't mind coming on and introduce yourself and about your project.
Sure. Thanks, Larry. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, good. Hi, everyone. I'm Sean. I'm from AstroX, product and growth team. I'm pleased to be here and share our product insight and explain why we believe ICP can offer robust support for Web3 products. And congratulations again to Hashkey Exchange. As a Hong Kong-based company, SRX looks forward to collaborating and to help take Hong Kong's Web3 to the next level. Well, you may be familiar with SRX primarily through our product Mi Wallet and Car3. In fact, we are currently have three major product lines: the Mi Wallet, multi-chain smart contract wallet, and the Car3, Web3 in real life social and growth product, and Wheat Wallet, a Bitcoin and Ordino's ecosystem wallet. So, of course, as a tech-focused team, we often explore new innovations such as Bitcoin multi-signature wallet, multi-sign wallet, and the conference wallet check-in services. In this product and services, we use ICP canister and we use some of other related technologies for some of the feature, and we also use some of the technology from our tech stack as well. Overall, ICP has not only helped us reducing the development cost, but also greatly ensure the decentralization compared to AWS. When AstroX was first built, our core development team looked for the tech stacks. We find that ICP is very suitable for us, so we choose ICP. Yes, that would be all.
Yeah, I think it seems like Larry dropped.
Yeah, Larry dropped. I guess we can just keep going while we're waiting for Larry. Who's the next? I think we have Sean.
Maybe Ben.
Ben. Yeah, I think Ben already spoke, right? Ben.
Yeah, Sean, go for it. I think it's a kind of a nice, freestyle without the host, right? It's kind of the host leads the party for a few minutes, right?
The host has left, so now finally, yeah. Hey Ben, I couldn't help noticing we are actually alumni from Stanford.
Oh, awesome! Okay, have some cool things to talk about later.
I was an MSX class of 2013, but Sean, please continue. Yeah, tell us more about AstroX, and then I think you guys were just ushered into the Cyberport in Hong Kong, isn't it?
Oh yes. We become the company in Cyberport, and so right now we are a 100% Hong Kong company. So we'll just keep on building things, and help Hong Kong Web3 to grow, and using our weight, and of course. Some of our wallet infrastructure was built on ICP canister, and we think it's very powerful. Actually, it is very powerful. So yeah, we also recommend our friends and friends company to use them as well.
Cool, yeah, Sean. I remember that the AstroX, you guys launched this new device called a Car3.
Yes, Car3.
Car3, yeah, that seems to be very popular on some major industry events. I think starting from the East Denver, you guys went to East Denver, and then the one in with Vitalik in Montgero, and then I think most recently in Paris.
Paris, yes.
So could you tell us more about how this car 3, was used at such events? Why people just keep talking about it?
Well, thanks. Car 3 is currently one of our star products and is highly popular. And it's a smart contract wallet that utilizes NFC cards and also supports social features. So, as a smart contract wallet, the project can very easily to do pre-airdrop the tokens and NFT for the users. So when user get the Car3 and after activation, and they can see the token and the NFT already inside. That's for one thing. So because it's a smart contract wallet, so users do not need to memorize the C phrase. There is no C phrase, and also they don't need to download any apps. So we kind of
Sean, how is that?
Yeah.
How is that possible? That wouldn't that be a big? I'm just looking at it. We have more than 3,000 guests on these Twitter Spaces AMA. Like I think for a lot of us, in the crypto space, who have been very used to MetaMask and all the wallets. Like, how is it possible that we have a crypto device that can store NFTs and exchange tokens without requiring users to memorize C phrase? How did you guys do that?
Basically, the Car3 smart contract wallet is built on ICP canister. So yeah, as you just mentioned, many infrastructure and many product built on ICP is fully on chain, right? So the smart contract wallet, the multi-chain smart contract wallet, is a on-chain wallet, and so yeah, we use the web auth, and the user can use his device, can use his Google to control that smart contract wallet. So basically, it's very easy for them to use. So the threshold is very low. So people do not need to learn too much to start using Web3 product. That's the goal. Yeah. And before
That's
Web3,
amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
before Web3, I was a UX designer for 7 years. So I think right now the one of the main product in the Web3 industry is it's too hard for regular users to use all kind of the device and all kind of the wallet things. So we need to keep it easy for the user. We have the saying like the grammar test. Actually, the Car3 is I think the Car3 has passed the grammar test. So even a 60-year-old grandma can very easily to activate a Car3 and also start using the wallet. Yeah.
That was some incredible conversation. First of all, I apologize for dropping offline.
Welcome back.
Had some internet issues. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad I dropped off. Actually, though, that conversation wouldn't have happened. But I was glad I was able to catch the latter half of it. But I would like to just take a little bit of step back. We've heard from Daniel, we've heard from Anna, and from Sean about their projects, about their incredible achievements. But most importantly, I think about why they've decided to choose ICP to be the ecosystem they're building within and on top. I want to take a step back, and I want to pitch this question to Herbert. Can you tell us a little bit more in depth about the ICP? Especially for people here who are perhaps unfamiliar with it, but more specifically, what about the ICP that allows it to, that allows the internet to act as an open alternative to traditional controlled technology? Herbert.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, that's it's good to have you back. We were just having fun just now, but so this is a very important question, right? So really, thank you, Hashkey, for for throwing this big party for ICP here. So why IC? Why Internet Computer Protocol? I came from Amazon Web Services, and so in a way, I almost came from. This is very interesting, right? Right now, we basically have a motto. We try to disrupt AWS because we think there's a shot ICP can potentially replace the traditional IT infrastructure. Way more than just being another layer one blockchain that can do a distributed ledger. We really see an opportunity where in the ICP we call this a blockchain singularity. Right. I remember when I was living in Palo Alto. I think I overlap with Ben a little bit from our Stanford days. I was when I first heard the news that at Divinity Foundation there was this startup called Divinity that just raised a sensational amount from Andreessen Horowitz and Polychain back in 2017. I remember the first page on the business plan for Divinity was we want to disrupt AWS. We wanted to build a blockchain singularity where we believe most of the web applications on the internet for mankind will be run on a blockchain. I have to admit, I just became a sucker to the whole course because that is such a fascinating future. Because I came from old school, from Web 1 era all the way back from Singapore, back in the days when Singapore was one of the Asian the four Asian tigers. I think we have come a long way, the internet, but now whether we call this Web 1 traditional internet, vintage internet, or Web 2, it has run its courses in many directions. There are many problems, too centralized, there's no data sovereignty for users, and it's too complicated to use. I was trying to book a flight, trying to rent a car in Austria for my family vacation there, and it's just embarrassing that a lot of those platforms in Europe, they just cannot run a feasible website. It's actually nowadays very difficult. If you are a web developer out there, I think you'll see what I mean. It's very difficult to actually create a working web application that is compatible with all the devices, with all the mobile responsive requirements, with all the forever changing front end frameworks, the databases, and the forever debate between Rust versus Haskell versus Ruby versus Python versus Java. It's very exhausting. I think the birth of ICP really made this just a lot easier, right? A lot easier. So I was a I grew up as a finance guy, but I taught myself how to program, how to build website. And from a web developer standpoint, it's so much easier to build a website on ICP versus in the traditional way where you have to get an instance or from AWS or DigitalOcean, open the EC2, open the S3 server, upload your JPEG images to a bucket on S3. You don't need to do any of that anymore. Everything, whether it's a static website or a dynamic like casual games, you can move them on ICP already. And that's because there are a couple of things on ICP that's very, very unique. Number one, we use this we call a chain key technology to solve the scaling issue. Right? I think we have a lot of aspirations in this industry. We want to be able to provide high performance and all that. The key thing is how do we solve a scaling issue? And by scaling, I mean not only just scaling up, like what is happening in the world of Ethereum with all the layer 2s and ZKs and OPs and all that. But what I mean is scaling out. How do we scale a network horizontally? So that, in the case of Dmail, I'm really glad to see Daniel here from Dmail. They have created tens of thousands of canisters on ICP. How can they allow users, which each one of them owns their own canister, to communicate with each other? So we need to solve the problem of horizontal scaling, and that's achieved on ICP using what we call the chain key technology. Basically, we create a subnet. A subnet typically has 13 nodes, or we call the replicas. So all your data, your application, the user data automatically has, by default, 13 redundancies. So why 13? Because we feel that is a good equilibrium that can give developers and users sufficient data security as well as good performance. So to do that, for example, I think that both Daniel and Sean can tell you from their user experience that now a lot of users, if they just run like a query call means it does not change the state of a variable. If they just query call, they can actually achieve a finalization speed of 100 to 200 milliseconds. I'm talking about milliseconds. So that is not exactly at the League of Legends level, but it's very close. Basically means ICP you are able to run most of the applications currently on the internet that do not, unless it's a very competitive, like sort of the Valley of Kings, that kind of game that typically requires 50 milliseconds, but most applications do not need that. So we have solved the scaling issue that can allow the network, the applications to expand almost without a constraint. And number two is a canister smart contract that I think Sean from AstroX just mentioned. So the canister is, if you're a web developer from the Web 2 world, it's very similar to a light version of Docker, like a Kubernetes. So it's a small universe with a 48 gigabytes stable memory that can store a lot of data as a state in those variables. So in our technology stack, there's no file system. You don't need to move around files anymore from one database to another. It's just completely unnecessary because we use orthogonal persistence. So with canisters, you can run the entire application. You can host the front end of a web application to the backend APIs in the canister. And what's more, you can transfer ownership of this canister to another user on ICP. Like at AstroX, I think that Sean was going down the path of explaining how they use this CAR3 to achieve exchanging tokens, but at a high speed. That's because of the canister. You can exchange canister not only very quickly but also at a very low cost. The transaction fee on ICP is only 0.001 ICP. So at today's price, that is roughly 0.04 cents. So it's just night and day when it compared to other layer ones. Another key, I think, technology, I would say strengths is on ICP is we have this reverse gas model, which means on ICP, users don't need to pay any extra fees. For example, in the case of Yumi, I think Anna from Yumi can explain a lot of that. I think the pain point from the traditional crypto industry, especially when it comes to NFT, is you got to pay just skyrocketing gas fees. And in the world of ICP, we take a very different philosophical approach to this whole thing. We feel that the cost should be borne by the developers. And if the developers are not able to create a positive cash flow, a revenue stream to attract more users, more paying users to cover the cost, then that is not a viable business model. The burden should not be borne by the users. But that is, obviously that has been the norm in the industry for the last couple of years. So on ICP, especially when if you are into trading NFTs or buying things from Metaverse, you don't need to pay any extra fees. You just need to pay the transaction fee, again, 0.04 cents. So that's really, really cheap and fast. I think there are another complex concept that I'll try to explain as well, which is really turning a lot of heads recently in our ICP ecosystem. That is this SNS, Service Nervous System. It's a mouthful, I know. Basically, it's a way to tokenize or decentralize your application. Right. Another major issue for the traditional internet is the application. The product is usually forever bound to the founding team, to the founding developers. Whether we call that in the language of Vitalik, like Soban account and all that, that's a different thing. But that has its problems, because what if the founders, they don't want to do this anymore? What if they want to retire to an island in the Mauritius? What if they just have a dispute? They are going different ways, right? And then what's gonna suffer, it will be the community, will be the users, the gamers who enjoy the applications and who are willing to continue to pay for that. So it's so that's been a problem. But then with SNS, which is really in extremely abstract terms, you can visualize it as a DAO on top of a DAO. You can not only just using that as a way to raise money from ICP holders, but also you can transfer the ownership of the of your app to the community of your holders. And in by our standard, that is a true form of decentralization. Basically, that decouples the founding team from its own creation. It's a bit of a nerve-cracking moment, I think, for the founding team when they do that. But I think that's the only way to ensure this application, if it is useful, is valuable to its early adopters, that it can persist, it can live literally to live forever, because community can pay for that. Community will decide through community voting, the major feature roadmap of this application. So in that way, we really change the relationship between the founding team and the users, and to me, that is the true spirit of Web3. We have been as an industry talking about this for the last couple of years, but I've only seen this in this pure form in ICP. So I'll pause here for now. I'm sure our guests can add a few more. But to me, I came from sort of the heart of the enemy in a way. I really just fascinated by the ICP's vision of blockchain singularity, and I want to be part of that. I want to be part of a greater success, a bigger revolution, as we try to figure out what is the future form of internet. And I personally, I think a lot of things will be forever different. We are not going to use the applications the way we do today. And I think ICP as a truly versatile and full stack infrastructure stack out there can play a major role in this revolution. So that's just for me. Thank you, Larry.
Wow, thank you so much, Herbert. I'm still trying to take everything in. You provided a lot of really great information about the ICP, and I love how you made that connection all the way from the beginning of the internet to how now that ICP is going to disrupt all of it, and it's an incredible roadmap and a future you've just explained, and made me even more really excited about ICP realizing that future that you've just mentioned. And now I want to point the question to Ben. After especially Herbert explained a little bit more about the ICP, and we've heard a little bit of intro from the projects that are building on ICP. Can you give us, a quick introduction about the Hashkey ecosystem, but also, what are some of the possible synergies that you think that we can have with the ICP, and really to extend the internet to uncharted territories?
Sure. No, so I think so. Thanks. I mean, thanks, Herbert, for going through all that detail. I think it's always good to hear kind of at the base layer, right? What's different? How do you enable scalability and things like that? So I think that's always very beneficial, especially for developers, long term believers in the space. For Hashkey, right? I think it's pretty easy to understand the Hashkey ecosystem. One way to think about it is there's three parts to the business. The first part is the exchange part of the business, which we've we've been working on for a long period of time, and I think ever since 2018, we had we had a different perspective on what the future of centralized exchanges look like, which I'll talk about in a second. So that's kind of the first part of the business is the the exchange business. The second part of the Hashkey ecosystem and the business is staking. So we through HashCorp we run one of the one of the largest staking as a service providers in the world. I think for ETH we try to be a little bit more low key, but from day one, when the Beacon chain went live, we were there staking on the Ethereum network. We're still to date, one of the largest stakers of ETH. And we've done a bunch of different pilot projects. We've been low key with some of this stuff, but we did before Coinbase announced their CBETH project. We actually had a fully vetted and a regulated product which we called EPETH, which was a liquid staking token, and that was able to leverage the expertise of our team that does a lot of staking for different public blockchains. So I think naturally for partners like Dfinity, there's always a lot of collaboration between the node validator services side of our business and public blockchains. So that's the second leg of the business, right? Which is node validation and staking, which is a very important technical part of Hashkey's ecosystem, Hashkey's business. The third part is venture capital, so and asset management. So Hashkey Capital has been one of the largest investors in blockchain for many years. Even going back to the early days of Ethereum. I think it's all public. Hashkey was also early investor in Dfinity and ICP. So and a big supporter of the ecosystem, big supporter of DMail. So I think from the perspective of Dfinity and the Dfinity community, what can the ecosystem of Hashkey add in? Like, how can we help the Dfinity ecosystem and the Dfinity community grow? I think one thing is for any great developers who are trying to build projects, folks like DMail or other folks, by becoming aware of Hashkey and who the people in the company are and what we've done. If you're building great things on the ICP ecosystem, not only do you have access to the potential like grants programs within Dfinity, you also potentially have access to capital through the Hashkey ecosystem. But you really have to be smart in what you're building, and it has to be a great product, and the people have to be right? So I think capital is a natural value add into to the Dfinity ecosystem. I think another through through our node validation, being Hashkey becoming more and more involved in kind of the decentralized infrastructure of the internet computer is definitely definitely a no-brainer. And I think on the exchange and trading side, I think as Larry mentioned earlier, one of the things that's really exciting to us is the launch of the Hashkey exchange, which, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of centralized exchanges out there, but I think the lessons of 2022 and kind of the lessons of 2023 are really teaching the whole industry the value of kind of the next generation of exchanges, which we kind of call exchange 3.0, which is these are exchanges which they're licensed and regulated by regulators in jurisdictions that actually have robust investor protections. I think back in I would say I kind of separate the exchange industry into three eras. I would say exchange 1.0 was kind of like the early days, early Coinbase days, and then you had Mt. Gox, and you had all these different guys, right? BTCC, and kind of the Wild West. And then I think exchange 2.0, that era I would say is kind of starts in maybe 2016, 2017, where you have the the ICO run up, and you have basically companies like Binance and several other folks really grow massively in that 2020 that 2017 to I'd say 2022 era, that 2021 era. And I think the exchange 3.0 era is was, as I just defined it, I really think the kind of the triggering event for all of this was probably the the Luna crash back in May of 2021, where I think not May of 2021. Just go back. Let me double check my myself on here. May 2022. Yeah, I didn't want to cut the prior bull market too short there, but you had May 2022. That the Luna crash, right? I think that was although it wasn't kind of like centralized exchanges that were responsible for that. I think that really it really started to make people question a little bit, the practices happening at centralized entities because of the Luna crash and all this different systematic risk. You had, Genesis ends up going down, and then you have, Celsius end up going down. So a lot of centralized guys are going down, and I think a lot of us who've been in the space for a while, were harmed by that. Obviously FTX in November 2022 is the big event in all of this. So I think what's really exciting to us from the exchange point of view is, over the next 2 to 3 years, even though, being regulated comes with, additional burdens and workload, how do we, bring a new type of marketplace to users across the world where you can finally, on a centralized exchange, you can finally have a little bit of peace of mind that your assets are safe. So I think there's always a lot of work that we need to do when it comes to listings of different assets. But for great public blockchains, when if your token is listed on an exchange like Hashkeys, the benefits to the entire community are very, very high. I think I would say there's two huge benefits. One benefit is an exchange like Hashkeys, actually we after the aftermath of FTX in Asia, it is pretty hard to find reliable, robust, fiat on and off ramps. And if you're regulated and licensed, then it makes it easier for the banking system to trust you, and then also makes it easier for users who are trading in the ecosystem or who they're earning rewards if they need to, off ramp into fiat in a reliable way without having to transact P2P with people they don't know. This exchange is, it's a value add to the community. It allows people to, to kind of convert into fiat when they do need to pay some of their, daily expenses or operating expenses as a company, right? So we do know that, a lot of developers out there who are building on public blockchains, they might be, folks like Dmail or other folks, right? Initially, the whole team and project might be funded in BTC, ETH, or ICP or other tokens. Sometimes stable coins. And I think generally most teams can fund themselves on that for a while, but you do have operating expenses from time to time that you need to pay out in fiat, right? Whether those are things like rent or other things in the real world, right? Kind of your IRL expenses. And besides kind of like OTC partners, I think for projects and developers, you do need to have kind of a robust fiat off ramps. So I think in terms of adding value to a public blockchain community like Dfinity, these licensed reputable exchanges can be a pretty strong addition. I think the other thing, maybe just the last thing to end on in terms of kind of the Hashkey ecosystem and the value that it can bring to blockchains like Dfinity is robust custody and kind of insured custody. For example, the Hashkey exchange, I think we hold about 98% of clients' assets in cold storage. So that extra added amount of security for assets in a centralized exchange, I think, is pretty good. I mean, there are a lot of folks out there still do like to hold their assets in hardware wallets, which I think is good. I think it's fine. But for people who are active traders and they want to be playing the markets, it is helpful to have your assets in a centralized exchange where you can trade in and out as fast as you want while having making sure you have security of your assets. So I think those are some of the interesting things about the Hashkey ecosystem, like how you can think about the three things that we do across exchange, staking and node validation, and also capital, and kind of how these components of our ecosystem can add value to a relatively mature but always innovating and further developing community like Dfinity is.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for that introduction and the shout out to the exchange business. I liked how you made the very interesting connection between IRL expenses and using exchanges as a way to complete that and etc. Just a shout out, we do have a new OTC service that's come online, Hashkey brokerage. You can go to hashkey.com/brokerage to find out more about it. We are a bit short on time, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip forward, and I want to ask a bit more of some more project-based questions, and I now want to come back to Herbert, and I want to hear your take on what do you think is the best way to break the circle of ICP. If you can talk about Bifinity and the EVM layer of the ICP.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. Yeah, this is a great question. I think there are probably 4 areas. I'll be brief. 4 areas where we see there are tremendous growth opportunities for the projects in the ICP ecosystem. First and foremost is really Hong Kong, Asia. We see Hong Kong as a future springboard for Definity Foundation, also ICP ecosystem as a whole, to grow our ecosystems, because this is where we can find truly a lot of excellent developers and also investors. Well, obviously, Hashkey Pro, is gonna be one of the movers and shakers in this business. So I think Hong Kong is very important. I think a lot of our partners have already heard that we are planning to launch to form this ICP Asia Alliance with our ecosystem partners, including developer studios, VCs, government agencies, media, PR firms, as well as communities, to join forces to create this Asia Alliance. And we're trying to figure out a place to do this in Hong Kong in the week of September 28th. So the details will be coming, but that happens to be the same week where we're gonna have the Edge, the AI Summit in Hong Kong, where our founder and chief scientist Dominic Williams has been invited to give a keynote speech. So Dom is coming to Hong Kong in the last week of September, and we're trying to rekindle our relationship with our old friends such as Fenbushi, SNZ, and Hashkey, and many other investors and developers, and also try to make some new friends in Hong Kong, among all places, because we think this is the best place, not only just for ICP but also for the industry in general. Secondly, I think as Larry briefly mentioned, I think we want to be able to bring developers from other ecosystems and make it easier for them to come to ICP. So the way we would do that is through this direct integration between Bitcoin and ICP, and also Ethereum and ICP. We have already landed this major feature on the ICP roadmap a few months ago. That is the direct integration between the BTC and ICP. So what that means is, now if you run a canister smart contract on ICP, you can create and control a wallet on the mainnet of Bitcoin. And for all intended purposes, you can use the smart contract on ICP to do a lot of things and transactions on eventually on this wallet on the BTC mainnet. So another way of understanding that is we are giving BTC finally the capability of smart contract, and also at a much higher transaction speed and a much lower transaction fee. So that is nothing short of a game changer, I think, for the entire industry, as the BTC community has been buzzing in the last few months with the new products, new innovations such as BRC20 and Ordinals. I think this is a very exciting future for not only just BTC but also for ICP, because imagine if we can bring the smart contract capabilities in its full glory, from NFT to metaverse to DeFi to a BTC, and if you're developers, there's very limited functionalities from the native scripting language from Bitcoin. There isn't a lot it can do, but with a powerful canister smart contract on ICP, really the sky's the limit. So that is, I think, very, very exciting. And Sean from Astra X team, they are already one of the early adopters of this technology and trying to figure out how to conquer new land. And then the other major feature that the ICP community is looking forward to is very similarly the ETH and ICP direct integration. So both the foundation as well as some of the most hardcore developer teams in our ecosystem, such as IC Lighthouse, are both working on that, trying to bring EVM to ICP. As the London-based team, Bfinity is already doing a test net on this IC on the EVM version. So what that means, if you are a developer, you can very easily deploy the similar smart contract from other EVM-based blockchains to ICP. And also, if you're a holder or investor out there, that means the TVL from other blockchains, from the EVM blockchains, will finally be able to flow into ICP, because with this direct integration, we'll be able to provide compatibility to all the ERC20 and ERC720 tokens. So again, that is an even bigger game changer, than the BTC and ICP direct integration. And I should also mention that what's remarkable about this direct integration is we are not using a centralized bridge. We hate bridges. We think all the bridges, eventually they will fall because of the inherent human risk. But we trust technology. So we achieve this kind of direct integration through the chain technology at the most basic protocol level. So I think that's really going back to the true motto in this industry, the code is law. I think in these two direct integrations, a lot of new scenarios will be unlocked in the ICP ecosystem in the coming months. So please, take a look, especially to give a shout out to Bfinity from Europe, as well as IC Lighthouse from Asia. Those teams are working feverishly on their version of the Ethereum integration. And number three, I think it's something that we have always been talking about, but probably hasn't received enough attention from the industry. But we do think this is an industry-wide challenge. But among all blockchains, ICP is probably best uniquely positioned to tackle this. That is, we really want to bring in some Web2 developers to the ecosystem, and ICP technology is actually very friendly to the Web2 developers, probably more so than a typical Solidity developers, because it can do so much more. Because as a web developer, as I briefly mentioned earlier in my introduction, you got to handle a lot of things: load balancing, user authentication. You got to make sure there is a cache servers and all that. Front end, back end. You got to figure out where to store the data, cold data and hot data. Oh, they have different prices. You got to figure out how to do some form of IPFS. But then it's not easy to retrieve the data when you need it. All right, all this is a very nitty-gritty, a lot of nitty-gritty details issues for traditional web developers. But on ICP, has become so much easier, because we basically contain a lot of those complexities in a very abstract layer called ICP, so that the developers don't need to worry about that. So we think that Web2 developers present a huge area of growth for our ecosystem. And that is not something that I think some of our peers in other ecosystems will be able to tap into, because crypto industry as a whole is just very, as we know, is very finance driven, right? But for finance, there's only so much you can go when you talk to your Web2 developers. That's why I think next week, next two more weeks. Our Asia team from Bfinity, we are hosting this another ICP developer meetup in Hangzhou, China, one of the largest developer cities in China, which happen to be the headquarters of Alibaba. And we just settled the theme of that event, which is, I think it's going to be August 23rd. The theme of this event will be career opportunities. Basically, something like something in the line of how to transform your career with ICP if you are a traditional web developer, something like that. So I think this is really a great growth area for ICP. So if you have some friends who come from the good old vintage internet era, please please tell them what a remarkable and unique technology ICP is, and then invite them to take a look. And also, he or she can take a look at IC123.xyz, which is a new website the Chinese IC community just created. We are making a lot of technology documentation and also how-to guides available in Chinese for the Chinese market. So feel free to share this website with your friends. Last but not least, I should also mention that artificial intelligence. Right? Artificial intelligence is one area. I'm not saying it's just for the sake of AI is hard. Everyone is talking about AI. No, it's because ICP among all layer 1 blockchains, we are the only one that can provide data storage, distributed computing power, and also distributed ledger. There's nobody else can do this holy trinity. And that makes ICP a very, very interesting platform to deploy artificial intelligence. And our founder and chief scientist, Dominic Williams, recently mentioned this on this interview, where he's forecasting that within the next 18 to 24 months, we will be able to enable AI smart contracts on the mainnet of ICP. I mean, that's details are still will be coming soon, but that's going to be very exciting news for all the AI developers, because one thing that is, right now sort of the elephant in the room for AI industry is it's very powerful, so on and so forth, but everything runs on the highly centralized platforms. So what if one of those platforms goes rogue? What if they just hijack your data? And now we have just unleashed a beast that can think and talk and write probably better than humans. What are we going to do about that? Personally, I think the ICP, we need to put the beast back in the cage in a way, and that is to deploy the training modules. Not only the training modules, but also the data collection from users and enterprises, but also training the big language models, the transformers, to eventually the inference model, eventually everything on chain. That is, I think that is a way to make sure the technology can be deployed on a decentralized platform, and so eventually we can still run this world, not the other way around. So these are just 4 areas: Hong Kong, BTC ETH integration, and the Web2 developers, and artificial intelligence. The 4 bright areas I think will be very exciting, for all of us to watch in the coming months. Thank you, Larry.
Yeah, I think Herbert, just on the DeFi, on the AI side of things. I think you guys recently announced a grant program for that as well. I think with the decentralized AI side, it seems like there's a lot of interesting things that are going on there.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Ben, for mentioning that. Yeah, we just launched this called a D. It's called a D. Everything is a D, right? It's a DAI grant program with $5 million, where we invite all the developers in the world to build, machine learning, big data, and also AI applications on using the Canister smart contract from ICP. So check it out. I think there's a referral code that developers can use. But if you can just go to divinity.org/grants, use that use a referral code, so you can load up the template to apply for this DAI grants. We are really excited for these new areas. We're just hoping to get more developers. I think, as Ben mentioned, this is where I think the Hashkey group can be a great help for Divinity Foundation and ICP ecosystems. We really want to. I just so young. Our CTO just got on the space, so we really want to invite all the best and the brightest developers in the world to join our course to see how we can create an interest in big language models on ICT as well. But thank you, Ben. Thank you, Larry.
That's incredible. That's incredible. We'll be sharing that information within our community as well. Herbert, every time you are introducing ICP, you really are changing my mind about the future of the internet, and I'm super excited about it. Ben, I now want to hear about your personal view about ICP strategy that Herbert just mentioned, and what do you think about those strategies, especially
Sure.
in terms of it standing out, among the public chains.
Yeah. No, I think what I just mentioned there is really kind of the interesting frontier. I think the whole space around decentralized artificial intelligence, I think is an interesting space. I think it will take time. I think Dfinity is doing a lot, a lot to try to potentially enable DeFi use cases through, just mentioned, like, I think what Herbert just mentioned around the Bitfinity side of things. I think getting some type of compatibility or some linkage in with Ethereum through EVM support, I think I think if you look at, like, basically the the history of a bunch of different layer ones and the base layers out there, a lot of guys have definitely unlocked, or a lot of projects and a lot of chains have definitely unlocked a lot of the DeFi ecosystem through EVM compatibility, right? I mean, you look at, for example, BNB Smart Chain, right? Like, prior to that, kind of the first iteration of Binance's blockchain. Basically, they didn't have smart contract support, didn't have EVM, and then you go down that route and you make it a lot easier for developers to kind of port things over really quickly. So I think a lot of the right things are happening. But then again, as I just mentioned, I think one of the interesting, I think I always try to kind of stay aware of what's happening on the frontier, and I think that can always create a lot of really good opportunities in the future, right? Because if you think about, like, modern day Web3 development, which is a little bit different than Web2. I think Dfinity is trying to make Web3 development as easy as Web2, right? But it still takes a lot of time. So, from the developer's perspective, you really have to think about, okay, 6 months from now, where is the market going? Because it's going to take you some time to build this. You have to fundraise and all these different things. So, I think it's obvious that there's a lot of interest and excitement around AI, and I think Herbert, given his prior life at AWS, and as he just mentioned, right, I think you can see there is a lot of there's a lot of concern in the industry about all these different models being trained by Microsoft, by Google, by Amazon, and also by OpenAI, right? I mean, the more you use these platforms, the more you use GPT, the more you use all these AI models, the more data is being ingested, right? So I think there's I think Dfinity calls it DAI, like decentralized artificial intelligence. If you look broader, if you look more broadly beyond that, one of the spaces that we, Hashkey and, like, what we're investing in and some different projects we're looking at, if you look broader beyond decentralized artificial intelligence, you have, like, basically decentralized physical infrastructure, referred to as DPIN, right? Decentralized physical infrastructure networks. And if you look at how you build AI, or you look at any of these models, it definitely requires a lot of the physical infrastructure. Dfinity is doing a lot to try to allow for AI and training of different models to be implemented on that. I think that's interesting. But yeah, in general, I think that's potentially, if you look at blockchain and distributed networks, I think that represents a really, really interesting future for AI and all these different models. Because, I mean, to me personally, I think one of the most scariest potential things in the world in the future is, like, okay, 5 years from now, if AI models are so quick and have ingested so much data, and your only choice is to use these tools to work in the world, well, you don't want to be in a situation where you have no choice than these proprietary models, right? So I think the whole space around what Dfinity is doing around the grant funding for that is interesting, and I think that's definitely a really interesting space to watch. So yeah, maybe I'll just pause there.
Perfect. Yeah, we've spoken a lot about the utilities of the ICP, its ecosystem, and how projects are able to utilize this technology to build. We do have, of course, 3 projects here that are built on the ICP ecosystem, and now I would love to come back and to hear their perspective about the ICP. And we're going to come back to Daniel from Dmail, and before you mentioned some great progresses that Dmail has made, can you share some of that, perhaps secrets to that growth and to that achievement, and some possible synergies that you think that you can have with the Hashkey ecosystem, Daniel?
Yeah, absolutely. Larry. In terms of Hashkey, thanks Ben for being here today. Yeah, I'm actually involved in a big event tomorrow with Hashkey. So they've been remarkable supporters, and same as Dfinity. So thanks very much. Obviously it's great to hear your praise. We feel honored. There has been immense growth and traction for Dmail recently. I think it's down to a number of different factors. First of all, the Dmail cross-chain plan began gradually after our product launch last year, and we found that many users and projects have demand for cross-chain communication, but this hadn't actually been adequately addressed at the time. So we think that email is an ideal use case to facilitate cross-chain communication between users and projects. And after communicating with several projects and communities, our founding team just pursued this path. Subsequently, Dmail started executing its cross-chain plan. We engaged with teams from various mainstream public chains, and we began to implement cross-chain features. And so far, it's worked for us. We've received grants from several different chains, DIDs, and we've received official market support from, as I say, several chains, Dfinity being one of them, of course. And the fact that we are able to leverage the respective ecosystems, and we're showcased on different chains, official websites and so on, mean that we have access to a burgeoning Web3 market. So our goals for breaking down barriers and onboarding more users, I mentioned earlier that we now have more than 1 million on-chain addresses in Dmail. Herbert mentioned earlier about Canister's powerful, advanced smart contracts on ICP, and I think that you'd find that Dmail makes up a large proportion of those canisters. So we're very proud of what we've contributed, and we're also extremely grateful for the technology that we're able to leverage as well. But that said, our goals for breaking the barriers include connecting public chains. We think that current communication products have limited cross-chain communication, and we're aiming to change that through our messaging services to establish cross-chain communication easily. We want to attract more users to use ICP. The core functions and the services of Dmail, including email, basically boil down to decentralized storage, and this is all deployed on ICP. So regardless of which chain users are on, Dmail new canisters and ICP addresses. So as I say, it's no exaggeration to say Dmail is the most significant builder of canisters by a very long margin indeed. And we're always looking to gain more support in terms of the market and funding. We've just closed our pre-A round, and we're entering our Series A now. So of course, gaining more support from VCs and the respective communities is something that we're really looking to do. And we think that obviously with our B2C success, then our B2B influence will follow as well. So we also are looking to realize the initial vision of a killer application. And you hear about it all the time, the next billion people onboarded and stuff. And I think it's it's kind of a cliche at this point and overused, but by deploying on multiple chains to meet users' cross-chain need, we do think that we've grown into a significant player, and the numbers speak for themselves. And we think we're essentially fulfilling the original vision that we had at the beginning of began to build out Dmail. And we've come a long way from just being a decentralized email provider. Like I say, there's going to be enormous functionality in terms of the messaging, notifications, and the AI assistant that we're building out. So the other thing is that we're looking to create more market influence. Each public chain has a vast user base of its own, and through multi-chain deployment, Dmail's influence has expanded. This allows us to have a voice in different markets. Getting back to the Hashkey team, we are very old friends. In 2021, we were honored to win the championship in Hashkey. Investment from them, and it's just been a blossoming and beautiful relationship then, really. So we have a lot for in terms of our progress, and after Dmail opened its first batch of DID support, one of the first projects to directly send Web3 emails through Dmail was actually Hashkey DID. So there's a bit of interesting information for you. So our cooperation with Hashkey team has always been really positive, affinity as well, and both teams have provided support to us in terms of the market product. So we're looking forward to deepening our cooperation in the future. And again, thanks to both teams for everything that they've done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much for that introduction again of Dmail, and we really look forward to explore some synergies moving forward. Now I want to come back to Anna from Yumi Marketplace, NFT Marketplace. One of Yumi's first product is RWA. Can you tell us a little bit more about the product strategy and why RWA is the first product to be released?
Okay, thank you, Harry. Thank you for the generous share of Herbert, Ben, and Daniel. And okay, so we are aiming to break circle for ICP. So our first feature product is RWA for sure. And the difference between RWA and the community-driven NFT is that RWA really have the real asset, like the lying asset. It's no longer community-driven image or gaming asset or membership card NFTs. I don't mean they are not good NFTs. It's just I just say that that's the difference from each other. So on Yumi, we have two significant RWA NFTs. One is the gold NFT. It's really have the physical golden bar as a lying asset of the gold NFT. Yumi Gold NFT is a new way for every customers to own physical gold. With gold NFT, customers of all income levels can access physical gold through NFT and empower you to take control of your financial futures and join the global movements to have a more transparent and accessible buying and selling gold. So here BS is acting as a responsible for the minting and selling the gold NFT on Yumi, as well as acting as a custodian on behalf of the gold NFT holders. And BAS is a Swiss-based company which is regulated by AMA, so users you can just feel relaxed to buy gold NFT without considering the risk if there is any fault of this gold project. And another RW asset is a physical art fractionalization, and it's a duly it's released a fractionalization NFT piece based on the physical fan art named Julie Opay, Susan working in the laser skirt. And of these holders who own this NFT, who own these fractionalization NFTs, can govern the art piece by NFT DAO, through holding the fractionalization. It's a new revelation. I think it's for the for ICP ecosystem and also for the NFT ecosystem. We finally realized the fractionalization and the governance by holding the piece. So both collections behave very well on Yumi because the line asset appear more familiar to most of users than a game story or community consensus. So back to questions, why we choose RWA as the Brinking Circle product strategy. So I think from what I told, it's very clear that the first is the NFTs is more accessible to all level customers. If you want to buy gold or if you want to buy a fan art, you have to maybe be a million. If you want to buy gold, you have to give to prove the bank that your asset is security, that prove that you have the ability to have the risk tolerance of this asset. And if you want to host physical fan art, maybe you have to be a millionaire, and so that is more accessible. And the second reason is that it's a compliance asset, and also it's related to the Hashkey exchange. Hashkey is a Hong Kong-based compliance exchange, and so Yumi is a compliance exchange too. Also, both RWA I talked is also the compliance asset. So users just feel free to get one on Yumi. So to achieve that, we did a lot of auditing and compliance work to launch these collections. To bring Circle, we not just release these two RWA assets. I'm gonna briefly introduce the two strategy of the Brinking Circle. The first is we integrate with the fiat payment provider, OpenPay. On the Yumi NFT marketplace, you can buy ICP directly with the credit card. So that means a lot to the Web2 user or users from the outside the ICP. You can just or even the non-crypto users. And also, the second strategy is we provide the 2B service. As I mentioned at the introductory, that Yumi, we rebrand ourselves and upgrade ourselves from a marketplace to one-stop NFT service place. So we provide customized meeting, launching, trading, storage, and also the NFT branding solutions to NFT or traditional company. As I pinned in the space, it's a case. This is a use case that we have applied, work with ICP, and this is a very good opening for Yumi platform that we are ready, and we are ready from the marketing side and also the technical side. Also, from I have the experience on ICP development to welcome all the traditional assets and traditional brands to ICP. That's what we are going to do to bring King Circle from ICP. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much for the intro about Yumi's first approach and having RWA as its first product. And it makes a lot of sense the way you mentioned it. And I think it really also democratizes a lot of asset investment for ordinary investors. We are short on time, but we want to close to this conversation with the last question. I want to give to Sean from Master X. We've heard from Anna and from Daniel about how both of their products are breaking the circle, and with their products, are there any product plans from Master X in terms of breaking the circle for ICP.
Sure. For the first basic principle is self-custody. I used to work at a Web2 technology company, and I'm well aware that in the Web2 platform, users have little control over their data and even their account. Let me tell you a story. In today's news, there's a Twitter user who registered an account 16 years ago with the handle music. The Twitter took it away from him. Therefore, if the users don't control over their accounts and assets, there's a real possibility that going away someday. So I became a believer in self-sovereignty and asset self-sovereignty in 2017, which aligned with AstroX's proposition of self-custody of assets. And ICP also supports us well in achieving this. So yeah, this is the first principle. And right now, currently, our overall strategy is built on ICP, create product and features user love, and growth in many ways. So that's how we do growth in the bear market. As to Q3, apart from what I just mentioned a few minutes ago, and the Q3 is a multi-chain wallet which supports ICP, Bitcoin, Ethereum L1 and L2, and the project can very easily to onboarding user with Q3. So we are hoping that Q3 can bring more and more user to the ICP ecosystem. Well, user can even customize their Q3. So we found that the user always oftenly just put their NFT on the Q3. So as Q3 become more and more popular among the NFT project and users, right now Q3 is a very good onboarding and growth product. We look forward to cooperate with many more NFT and community in the future. I remember seeing an article which is written by the Blue Chip NFT project CEO, Patrick Penguin, the Blue Chip NFT project. The CEO wrote this article, demonstrate how to make a popular NFT. One thing they mentioned is touch point, meaning that NFT is not supposed to just touching the small amount of user in the Web3, but need to be seen all over the society. So the normal regular users can see NFT in more and more places. So I think Q3 can become a very good touch point for NFT. That's why we want to cooperate with more and more NFT projects. And as to our another product called Mi Wallet. Mi Wallet is a smart contract wallet that built on ICP Canister, and which enable user to just very easily create a account to control his multi-chain wallet. We use ICP to make sure that user controls the wallet. The wallet is totally self-custodial. So what is very interesting for Mi Wallet is user can use multiple devices to control the wallet, and also modify and even remove the device from the wallet. So if they lose their phone, they can use their computer to remove the phone from their wallet. So no worry about any others to use their wallet. Yeah. So we believe right now we think Mi Wallet is very suitable for DeFi, and we think grow that in the future. So we are now building a lot of DeFi features for Mi Wallet, and hopefully we can cooperate with more and more DEX and DApp for as our partners to build the ecosystem together. Our main goal is to lower the threshold for make it very easy for the user to enter DeFi in the future. And also we have another product called Wiz Wallet, which is our latest product. It is mainly focused on Bitcoin and Ordinos, and right now it's still growing. We hope that in the future it will become our very, very important growth platform as well. So as the builder in the ICP ecosystem, our growth plans will help more and more people to get into the ICP ecosystem as well. For example, we have plans to cooperate with more and more designers on ICP on Car3. On Car3. So their design on Car3 can reach more and more people. And also we have a little developer community inside the SRX, and many of the developers are individual developers. They're very interesting in our product and also in ICP. And some of them are very young people and even the college student. So they will very likely become the ICP developer in the future. So hopefully that we, with more and more support from Dfinity and ICP, that we can do things much more better. Because with more users coming to the Astro X's product, that means more and more cycles burn, right?
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much. We are going to be wrapping up today's session. It's been a really informative session, and we have actually a lot of users requesting to ask questions, but unfortunately we are short on time today. The topic today can go on for many, many more hours, and I want to give a big shout out, a big thank you to all of our guests tonight, Herbert, Ben, Daniel, Anna, and Sean, for taking the time to join us today. I myself has become very optimistic about the future of the internet after tonight's conversation, especially one that's championed by ICP and its amazing projects within its ecosystem. I highly encourage everyone here today to follow all of our guests and their projects, and to not hesitate to reach out if you are interested to build or to collaborate with the ICP or with any of its projects. Don't forget to also follow us on Twitter. And if you are interested to learn more about us, simply go to www.hashkey.com. Have a great evening, morning, wherever you are. Again, thank you so much to all of our guests today. Thank you for your time and an amazing conversation we've had this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hashkey.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you, Larry.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you and goodbye.
Yeah. Thank you, Hashkey. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.